Well, as the old saying goes, the company you keep says a lot about you. And that's what the NYPD is betting on these days when combating juvenile crime. The department is cracking down on young criminals by tracking teens that they believe are troubled and then try to stop them before committing a crime. The New York Times says police do this by frequently dropping by teen schools and homes, sometimes just to say hi. The idea is that this will deter teens and their friends from committing crimes. And according to the report, police also monitor young people's Facebook and Twitter pages. Officers can become friends with the teen by making a fake profile of an attractive young girl to bait them. Now, this is all supposed to make dangerous neighborhoods safer, but have police just taken it too far? I'm joined now by JD Tucci, managing editor at Reason 24/7. Hi there, JD. So what do you think? Is this a violation of teens' privacy?
Well, it's a mixed bag. Leave it to the NYPD to take old-fashioned neighborhood policing and make it a little bit creepy. A lot of this is kind of common sense. I mean, the cops should get out of their cars. They should interact with the neighborhood. They should get to know the people who they're supposedly protecting, and that's a good part. And then all of a sudden, they're setting up fake Twitter accounts. They're pretending to be teenage girls. They're doing everything pretty much short of taking an undershirt home and putting it under their pillow.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about that? Using social media sites to kind of track these teenagers that they believe are kind of risky. Are social media sites fair game for police to track these people?
Well, to the extent that the material is public, I mean, a lot of people leave their settings on their social media open to the public, and that is fair game. If you're on the internet, you're on the internet. But when you start pretending to be somebody else, an attractive girl, kind of trolling for a response, now all of a sudden you're engaged in surveillance. It's not just neighborhood policing anymore. You're not just getting out of your car and being friendly and getting to know the people in the neighborhood. And that's when it gets creepy.
Right. Now, some of these kids, or my understanding is that these kids that they are monitoring, they have been caught for committing crimes before. So is it fair for police to keep a close eye on them considering their history?
To a certain extent, yes. And apparently there's some decent results. I understand that out of about 107 kids, I think it was, only about 14 were recidivists. That's a lot lower than the standard rates of repeat crimes. And I think that there's something to be said for real community policing, where the cops take part of the neighborhood. So there's good effects from this. There really are. It's not completely bad. But when you start, like I said, engage in surveillance, pretending to be other people, start inserting yourself in people's lives against their will, as opposed to becoming part of their lives with their knowledge, then it steps over a lot.
Right. So it sounds like you agree with the premise, the idea that is there, but they're kind of just taking it a little bit too far.
It's the NYPD up to its own tricks. Take a good idea and go and take it way too far.
Yeah. This program, I mean, as you had said, it's getting results. These kids that they target, apparently they're not committing crimes again based on other rates, previous rates. So, I mean, could we only expect this program to expand to other cities across the country, kind of this as a model for a new way of policing?
Well, to the extent that it shows results, I would think that it would be replicated. And I would hope that some parts of it are replicated. I think the police should get out of those cars. I think the police should walk the neighborhoods. And they should get to know people by their names and have their recognizable faces. These are good things. But if we see police departments across the country setting up fake Twitter accounts, setting up fake Facebook accounts, engaging in surveillance on people, really inserting themselves into people's lives in kind of an unsavory way, I think then we start getting a problem and we'll have pushback on that.
Yeah.
And I hate to see them take it that far because there's good parts of this that really can and should be replicated.
Yeah, and I think that part is where I think a lot of people will have a problem with, because they're kind of pretending to be a good-looking girl, but that's not really who they are. Obviously, they're the police. So, I mean, there's kind of, it's misleading, right?
It's extremely misleading. It's dishonest. And it's going to start pushback. I mean, obviously, people are going to react to that if they think the police are spying on them. They should react to that.
Yeah.
But the other parts of it, I mean, police, taking a part in their lives on a friendly basis, that sort of thing is a good thing. And you shouldn't mix the two because you poison the one with the other.
Yeah, a friendly hello can't hurt, I suppose. But in this particular neighborhood that we're talking about, these are low-income neighborhoods, places where residents are already suspicious of police. We're talking about places where stop and frisk tactics like that have been used, where police have been accused of racial profiling. So when you use a program like this primarily in these kinds of neighborhoods, could that only breed more resentment or suspicion among the residents there and the police force?
Well, they're starting from a basis of suspicion. As you mentioned, stop and frisk. These are the neighborhoods. You're talking about Brownsville and Brooklyn and East Harlem, which have been targeted by the police for stop and frisk. They just kind of jump people on the street and shake them down right there on the sidewalk. This seems like an improvement on that, at least, and even that was an improvement over the old street crimes unit, which was basically engaging in crimes all by itself. So there seems to be a progression in a better direction with this, but they do have to overcome the suspicion they've established in the past. Get past that in order to have better relationships with these communities and bring the crime rates down to what are really not just poor neighborhoods, but troubled neighborhoods.
Yeah, another thing that I wanted to bring up is what the teens that they track are teens that created these or committed these crimes in other neighborhoods outside of the neighborhoods that they lived in. What is behind that?
Well, they're trying to bring the crime rate down across the city. I think they're trying to get the most bang for their buck. So they're focusing not just on kids who prey on the neighbors, but kids who go outside of the neighborhood and contribute to the citywide crime rate. So I think that with what looks like a pilot program, they're trying to get the largest results they possibly can. I understand that. I mean, that does make sense. I mean, you want to lower the crime rate to the extent possible and so you can get results with this program. Where the real test comes in is to the extent they extend this program, how they do expand it, and what they do with it in the future. And since we're looking at a pilot now, we're seeing kind of the early stages of it. We don't know what they might have in mind once they decide it does or does not work.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll have to see how this all plays out, if it continues to be a tactic that works. Appreciate you shedding some light on this. That was J.D. Tuccilia, managing editor at Reason 24/7.
Thanks for having me on.